ever wonder about like how love, actually affects us?
Like emotionally, physically.
Yeah, exactly. All of that. Like, is it just some mushy feeling, or is it something deeper going on?
Well, we actually stumbled on this really cool podcast from Nigeria called Healthy Minds, Happy Hearts.
Okay.
And it was two doctors talking about it.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Kemi and Dr. David. And they were saying some pretty fascinating stuff about the impact of love on, our well-being.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the good stuff. So what kind of things were they saying?
Well, one thing that really stood out was how they talked about love, almost like it was a basic need, like food for our emotional health.
Okay, yeah, that's a really interesting way to put it.
Right, like we needed to thrive.
I like that. I like that a lot. But how does that actually work? You know what I mean?
Well, get this. When we experience love, our brains release all these chemicals, and one of the most important ones is oxytocin.
Oxytocin.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
Maybe. Reminds me of like octopuses or something.
Haha, no. It's actually nicknamed the cuddle hormone.
The cuddle hormone? Okay, now we're talking.
Right, it's released through things like touch and closeness.
Oh, okay. I am starting to remember this now. Yeah.
And it plays a huge role in how we bond with others.
But like, how does that actually make us feel good?
Think about how you feel when you hug someone you care about. That feeling of safety, that warmth.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's oxytocin in action.
Really?
It reduces stress hormones and promotes feelings of trust and bonding. And these are essential for good mental health.
So it's like actual medicine almost.
In a way, yeah. It's nourishing us emotionally, helping us feel connected and supported.
Whoa. See, and that's what I love about these deep dives. You learn something new every time. I never really thought about it that way before, but it makes so much sense.
And what's really cool is that it's not just romantic love that triggers this response. The doctors, Dr. Kemi and Dr. David, were talking about how love from family, friends, even self-love can have the same effect.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, all those close bonds, whether it's with a partner, a parent, or even your best friend, contribute to this feeling of belonging and, security.
Okay, that makes sense. So it sounds like we need all different kinds of love in our lives to like really be healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And on the flip side, a lack of these connections, that can actually be really harmful.
Really?
Oh yeah. Humans, we're social creatures. We're wired for connection. And when those needs aren't met, it can lead to increased stress, loneliness, and you know what? It can even impact our physical health.
Oh, wow. Okay, so now we're getting into the really interesting stuff. So what did these doctors have to say about the connection between love and physical health?
Well, it's not just metaphorical, right? Chronic stress from things like loneliness, even heartbreak, that can actually trigger physical symptoms. Think like headaches, trouble sleeping, even a weakened immune system.
Wow, so it's like mind over matter, but like in reverse.
Kind of. And over time, this type of stress can increase the risk of serious conditions. Things like heart disease. There's a really strong link between our emotional state and the health of our cardiovascular system. It all comes down to how our bodies react to stress hormones over a long period.
Man, that's wild. I never realized it was like that connected.
It's pretty amazing, right? In the episode, Dr. David mentioned this study where patients recovering from surgery, the ones with strong social support, actually healed faster.
Wow, so love is like actual medicine.
It really can be. It's like this potent force for healing, on so many levels.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the benefits of love, but what about, keeping those relationships healthy? Did the doctors give any advice on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They emphasized things like good communication, being kind and compassionate to those you care about, and, spending quality time with them.
Quality time, that's a good one. It's easy to let that slip, with all the busyness of life.
It really is, but they stress that these simple actions can make a huge difference. It's about being present and showing up for the people we love. Yeah.
I totally get that. It's not always about the grand gestures, but about those consistent, everyday efforts.
Exactly. And, they actually used a really great analogy. It's like tending a garden. You got to put in the work if you want it to thrive.
I love that.
Right.
Tend to the garden of your relationships. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's one more type of love I want to touch on. What about the garden within, so to speak?
Ah, self-love.
Yes, they talked about that too, right?
They did, and it's just as crucial as any other form of love. Dr. Kemi had this really beautiful quote, "You can't pour from an empty cup."
Okay, yeah, that's powerful stuff. You can't give what you don't have.
Right. But how do we actually practice self-love? It can be kind of a a tricky concept, you know?
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy sometimes.
Well, it really boils down to this. Treat yourself like you would a cherished friend. That means prioritizing things like healthy eating, getting enough sleep, making time for activities you enjoy.
So, like, actually putting yourself on the calendar.
Exactly. And just as importantly, being kind to yourself. You know, even when you mess up, we all make mistakes.
Oh, for sure. But, it's so easy to beat ourselves up about it.
It is, but that negative self-talk, it doesn't help anyone. So part of self-love is about challenging that inner critic and replacing it with more supportive, positive self-talk.
That's so important. I think we could all use a little more of that in our lives. But what about those times when we're really struggling? When self-love feels impossible.
That's a great point, and that's where the doctor's advice about seeking support comes in. They really emphasize that it's okay to ask for help when you need it, whether it's from friends, family, or, a professional therapist.
Yeah, that could be tough though, right? Asking for help. Sometimes it feels like admitting weakness or something.
It can feel that way, but actually, it takes a lot of strength to recognize when you need support and then reach out.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget that. We get so caught up in trying to be strong and independent that we forget that it's actually okay to lean on other people. It's not a weakness. It's just being human.
Exactly. And sometimes just talking things through with someone you trust, that can make a world of difference.
So, we've learned a lot in this deep dive. What would you say is the biggest takeaway for you?
I think for me, it's just the reminder that love is so much more than just a feeling, It's this powerful force that impacts our well-being on so many levels. Emotionally, mentally, physically, everything.
I couldn't agree more. It's amazing how something as simple as love can have such a profound impact on our lives.
It really is. And, as you go about your day today, just think about this. What's one small act of love that you can extend to yourself or to someone else?
Wow. That is such a great question and such a great note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into love and its incredible power.
Of course. My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.